Happy Wednesday, everybody. It's NTI Day 31. You are watching this video because you feel like you could use more practice with identifying different types of angles. These videos today are going to be really quick. You only have to pick one and you only have to do one assessment. But I'm making them quick just to do as a little review because tomorrow you will take your test over everything we've learned in geometry. Okay, so let's go ahead and get started with the different types of angles. First off, you need to know that angles are measured in degrees, and it is the spaces right in here between two straight lines. And remember, those two straight lines are called segments, or you can hear people call them line segments. Okay, they're just the two lines that form an angle. And the point where they meet is called the vertex. So that's right in here. Where those two lines meet together is called the vertex. The first type of angle that we're going to be looking at is a right angle. A right angle looks like a corner. It measures a perfect 90 degrees. So let's think about some shapes that have right angles. Well, we know that that is a rectangle. A rectangle has 4 right angles. So this video is really good for you guys if you have trouble identifying different types of angles and shapes, because that's what you're going to be asked to do tomorrow. So we're continuing to look at those attributes of different shapes. Another shape that has a right angle is a square. It has 4 right angles. In order to be, and another shape that has a right angle is a right triangle that looks like this. I know yesterday you guys had to, why isn't that coming up? Let me draw another one. Oh. I'm on my iPad, and sometimes it's a lot quicker than my computer. Oh, okay, there we go. And this only gave me half of my triangle. Yesterday, you guys had to sort shapes, and you had to say, okay, this shape belongs in this category, this shape doesn't belong in this category. And one of them was that you had to decide which one had perpendicular lines or which one had right angles. And there was a rectangle, a square, and then you guys had to drag the right triangle in there. Well, that's because it had that right angle. So remember, right angles are associated with perpendicular lines. It's two lines that meet and form this 90-degree angle. All right, the next type of angle that we're going to look at is an acute angle. Acute angles are super cute. They're tiny. They are less than 90 degrees. They're the smallest angle that you're going to look at. So let's look at some different shapes that have acute angles. The triangle has acute angles. It has 3 acute angles, in fact. A trapezoid has obtuse and acute angles. Can you tell me which set of angles are acute? Is it these angles or these angles? If you said the bottom angles, you are correct. You know this because if you were to go ahead and draw in a 90-degree angle, like a perfect corner, you see how that's smaller than the 90 degrees? You immediately know that it's acute. Okay, so there's your acute angles on a trapezoid. Okay, a different shape that has acute angles that you guys will probably have to identify. Let's look at a hexagon. Okay, so a hexagon has obtuse and acute angles. Actually, after drawing it out, I realized it only has obtuse angles, which makes sense because it has 720 degrees within it. So the only 2 that I know for a fact after looking over your test that you have to identify acute angles on is a triangle and a trapezoid. Okay, so let's stick with those 2 as our acute angle shapes. The next type of angle is an obtuse angle. Obtuse angle kind of sounds like obese, and obese is big. So it is your biggest angle aside from a straight angle, and it has more than 90 degrees but less than 180. So that looks like this. So when I say it has more than 90 degrees, this would be your perfect corner right here. See how this goes beyond? So we know that it has more space in between the 2 line segments. Okay, there's more space in here than a 90-degree angle. That's what I'm talking about. It is obtuse. It's big. Okay. So some different shapes that have obtuse angles. So like I said, when I drew out the hexagon, I realized it only has obtuse angles. So that's a good one. Okay. So it has 6 different obtuse angles. And then we just drew out our trapezoid. And we said that these were our acute angles, because we could tell that they are tiny. And our obtuse angles are these top angles that are greater than 90 degrees. Remember, anything with obtuse or acute angles is an intersecting line. So we're talking about those line segments. They meet and they go past, and you have to picture them going past the shape. Those are intersecting lines. So acute and obtuse angles equals intersecting lines. All right, so our review, and I'm just going to throw this in there really quick. You won't have to know about a straight angle on the test because this is mainly about identifying them in different shapes. But I'm going to go ahead and go over it. So a right angle has 90 degrees. It's a corner. Straight angles, those are just straight across. They're like a straight line. Those were really simple for you guys. You guys were rock stars at those. Acute angles, that is anything less than 90 degrees. They're really cute. They're tiny. So some different shapes that have acute angles is a triangle and a trapezoid. Obtuse angles, they are big. They're bigger than 90 degrees, less than 180. And we looked at how a trapezoid also has obtuse angles, and a hexagon has 6 obtuse angles. So some vocabulary that you're going to need to know for tomorrow. You're going to have to know the different types of angles that we went over. You're going to have to know intersecting, perpendicular, and parallel lines and identify them in different shapes. Remember, intersecting is acute and obtuse angles. They intersect and make a V. Perpendicular lines, they intersect and they make a 90-degree angle. So those will be in your rectangles, your squares, your right triangles. Parallel lines, they go on and on forever, but they never ever meet. You're going to have to be able to identify different 2D shapes. You guys were awesome at that as well. You have to look at partitioning the shape, which means just put it in equal parts and identifying the whole. And you're going to have to be able to identify quadrilaterals. It's any shape whatsoever that has 4 sides. You're going to have to be able to identify parallelograms that has 2 pairs of parallel sides. It has to be 2 pairs. So a trapezoid is not a parallelogram, but a rectangle and a square are. And a rhombus. A rhombus is also a parallelogram. And you're going to have to know the definition of polygon. A polygon is any shape that has 3 or more sides. If you have any questions about what you need to know on your test, make sure that you ask them. I'm here to help you guys. Hope you guys have a fantastic Wednesday. I'll see you tomorrow.